Hello, my name is Lonnie Calderon.
And my name is Daniel Hernandez Rosas.
And we're here to showcase cable
system.
systems.
So cable systems are mechanisms that use cables instead of actuators to transmit force. And so an example like this would use the cable systems to move the load, to have greater control of the load, instead of something like actuators, which would need to support each other's weight and make the load a lot heavier to move around.
So to understand cable systems, as the one in front of you, you need to understand basic physics like vector mechanics, motion, intuition of if you pull something, where does it go? If you push something, where does it go? In our curriculum, there are separated into 3 parts. A brief introduction about cable systems is what we're showcasing right now. And the second part is talking about the in-depth physics and mechanics around it. And the third thing is considering a final challenge.
So here is another way of adding a cable to the attachment points onto the payload. So what you can do is just add the top cable to the topmost corner of the attachment point. And you can do that for all 4 sides.
In the previous case, we had left, right, up, down motion. Now let's see if we can inhibit a different type of motion by having different connection points. Now, there's another possible way of doing it by attaching these all to their respective corners. But we're going to be showcasing having these towards the middle. And you can try at home what would happen if you attach these points to the corners.
Hello, my name is Peng Yang. In this 2 and 3 part, we're gonna do some challenges stuff about mainly focus on the physics.
For the first hour of the challenge, my name is Jack. For the first hour of the challenge, we are working on the translation part of it. So we're using the top 4 ropes, and we're going to try to balance up an object on top of the payload to try and get it to move across. The physics aspect comes in when we have to pay attention to the tension of the ropes to make sure the payload doesn't fall off.
My name is Carlos, and for the third challenge, it'll be sort of a more advanced application of the first challenge, where we'll use this setup to sort of replicate a claw machine, and we'll get it to move a cube around like certain grids of the system we have here to sort of understand how the tensions work as for the first challenge, and really get to know how the physics work here.
My name is Monica Robles.
And I am Pamela Bóveda.
And we're here to explain hour 4 of our curriculum. So this hour essentially consists of a final challenge that will be more hands-on. It will be, our idea was to make it a room-sized cable system. So the previous cable systems that you guys saw were very small. They were about 2.5 feet by 2.5 feet, and or the 5.5 feet by the 5.5 feet. But for a final challenge, we were thinking, why not use a whole room?
And instead of using 1 payload, we're gonna use 2 payloads. And the whole point, the goal of this challenge is to dock them together.
So some of the materials that you'll need for this cable system is, of course, you have to set up the cables themselves. So for the cables, you'll need metal O-rings and then these hooks. These parts will attach to the payload themselves. Once you have this end, and you can use zip ties and tape to attach them to oneself, after, you can attach them to the top corner and the bottom corners of the room. These payloads actually are for a smaller cube, and so if you're going to do something like a room-sized cable system, you probably want a box that's a lot bigger than this.
So we for sure can make this challenge as complex as we want. So we can measure also time of the performance. We can have many other indicators to see how we perform during this space mission. And then we can compare with other groups to basically measure and see who is the winner. So there are a lot of possibilities, and it's a very open challenge. You can go through our curriculum if you're interested.
The setup you see here is for 1 cable system. Each cable system needs 8 cables, 1 for each corner of the cube. For 2 payloads, you will need to set up 2 cable systems within one space. The challenge here would be to figure out where these attachment points would go to avoid cable collisions.
That was a brief overview of our curriculum that we created together. And if you guys want and are interested, you guys can check us out at the Student Symposium that's happening on February 22nd, and it's happening at Tate Hall.